On my last video, there was a comment that explained that people don't know what to do and that they are having these feelings of hopelessness. And I did not do a very substantial reply to this in the comment section because I felt it would be better to make a brief video explaining my thoughts on this as well as the different components of the feeling of hopelessness and of the idea that people don't know what to do. So, to start this, let's go ahead and analyze the feelings of hopelessness. The first thing you have to understand is that feeling hopeless and like there's nothing you can do is exactly what the ruling class and those in power want you to feel. They want you to feel that there's nothing you can do. They want you to think that you might as well just stay at home doing whatever it is that you do and trying to ignore the events of the outside world while you're swallowed up by it every single day. This is 100% on purpose. It's a part of the capitalist world, it's a part of the American world, and it's a part of the world everywhere. It's especially a part of the fascist world. You will see it in Russia, you'll see it in India today. You can go throughout all of history and see it with the treatment of Native Americans and how they tried to crush hope and crush rebellion. They do it here too. They try to crush all ideas that there's anything you can do. They're currently doing it with dissenters when it comes to pro-Palestinian protest. They're currently doing it with labor movements as they have been doing it for the last century, just trying to crush them entirely and showing them that you may have labor organizations that are working to get better wages, better times, better vacation hours, better sick pay, better insurance options, but we have all the money and we're going to destroy you. I've mentioned it on this channel before, and I'm sure I'll mention it again. But David Hume came up with something that is commonly referred to as Hume's paradox, which is the idea that the people who are on top hold very little of the power, while the working and lower classes hold all of the power because they have more numbers. But throughout all of the history of society, going all the way back to before modern history, we see that the ruling class instills fear and hopelessness into the lower classes, into thinking that there's nothing they can do and that they aren't unified and that they aren't on the same team. I've mentioned this on this channel before as well, but it's very important. And for some people, it's going to be harder to hear than for others. People who voted for Donald Trump in this last election are on the same team as people who voted for Harris in this last election. People may have views or ideas, principles, different ideas about religion that you find abhorrent and disgusting. And quite frankly, when I explain all this, I'm not saying that racism, homophobia, or bigotry are okay at all. I'm not. What I'm saying is you are going to have to work with, you are going to have to love, and you are going to have to understand people who have viewpoints that will make your skin crawl if you want to see anything done or changed in this country. You're going to have to stop calling these people stupid. You're going to have to stop talking down to them. You're going to have to stop thinking to yourself, how could anyone possibly believe that? You're going to have to start saying, I don't care how they believe this. I don't care what it is. When the time comes, we'll correct language. We'll explain to them the same things that I'm explaining right now, that you need to work with people who you view differently from yourself. This applies not only to how Democrats and liberals talk about Republicans, but also how Republicans talk about liberals because they're in the same boat. If you're constantly referring to someone who is in the same class as you, the working class or lower, as an idiot, as stupid, as racist, as homophobic, as a bad person, you are going to continue to amplify the divisions that we already see within our society that the corporate class and the upper 1% love to see. They love that you're fighting with these people. They love all the inner fighting you have going on, because as long as you're fighting with each other, you're not talking about the real issue. And the real issue is your wealth is being stolen from you every single day by the top 1%, by the corporate sector. And they have purposely distilled hopelessness and division in our society through the media, through their messaging, through everything they do to keep you from understanding that if you work together, you could accomplish so much more than what it is that you're doing now. They want you to think that you have nothing in common with the people who are wearing red hats that say "Make America Great Again" on them. They want you to think you have nothing in common with the farmer who goes to church every Sunday. They want you to think you have nothing in common with the man who has an effeminate accent. They want you to think that you have nothing in common with someone whose skin tone is a bit darker than yours, or whose accent is not from this area that you're from. They want you to think that all of these problems and all of these situations that they have manufactured are the issues and reasons that you're not getting where you are, or the reasons that nothing's ever changed. The reason things aren't changing is because the majority of wealth is owned by 1% of people in the United States of America. And they use their money to make all of the decisions in this country by funneling money into politics every single year at the local, state, and federal levels. The reason your vote doesn't count is because your representatives have been bought off. And they've used that money to manufacture your consent to keep them in office so they can continue to do corporate bidding. And it doesn't matter whether they have an R by their name or a D by their name. So what do? That's the big question, is we don't know what to do. And that's just not true. You know what to do. Every single religious movement talks about it. Every single major revolutionary movement talks about it, and I'm going to talk about it now too. You need to unify. You need to start working with people and educating people on the real issues of loving your brother as you love yourself, loving your sisters, loving your neighbors, loving your trans folk, loving whoever it is, and working with them to change this system. I've talked about it before, but it's a total flaw in thinking to think that the system is broken. The system is not broken. It's working exactly as it was created to do, by transferring all wealth and power into the hands of a minority. The only things that are broken are these ideas that there's no hope, or that these divisions amongst us are too great for us to overcome. We've overcome greater as a human species before, and we can do it again. And the divisions amongst us are not really that great. I mean, you can look at the 2016 election, and some studies show that almost 20% of people who voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary went to vote for Donald Trump because they want change. And the majority of them want the change that we all want. Changes in healthcare, changes in education, changes in the system. The system has to go. And eventually I'm going to make a full video discussing my thoughts on that. But it has to go in a nonviolent, unified front that takes the labor movement and combines it with mass protest that gets a system that works for us, whether it be socialist or whatever that system may look like. But it cannot be the system we have now. It starts with the labor movement, by supporting labor strikes, by educating Walmart employees, fast food employees, by educating Amazon employees into knowing that they have all the power, and also coming together as people to not be scabs who replace these people when the workers go on strike, to not be against them as they work for better wages and a better system. And then, of course, the rest will come on us. It was shown in France a few years ago when there's workers there who, because of a contract they signed, could not go on strike. So their families went on strike for them, and they flooded the streets for weeks until those workers got what they were looking for. I've emphasized this before on this channel. I'm going to do it again right now. This has to be nonviolent throughout the entire process. Any sort of violence whatsoever, any sort of violent revolution throughout all of history has led to a drop in the standards of living and an increase in a fascist, totalitarian state. What we need to do, what we can do, what we know we must do is work with our neighbor and start overcoming these odds against us, because there are more of us than there are of them. And I believe that we can do it if we just start seeing past our differences and into the heart and soul of one another. I hope you liked this video. I hope you learned something. I hope that maybe you're feeling a little bit less hopeless now. Maybe not. I guess we'll see. The first link in the description below will be for the United States campaign on Palestinian rights. If you want to talk about a hopeless situation, there's definitely one. But we will not stop fighting, and we will not ever forget what has happened to the people in Gaza and to the Palestinian people. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.